Apple just released a new iPhone, and I have a few things that I want to speak about regarding this phone, especially when it comes to the design part. So every year, Apple does this thing where they bring out new phones, and they usually bring them out in series, So you get the base model phone, you get the Pro version, and then you get the Pro Max. Sometimes they used to get to the Plus, and they used to get the Mini, which is scrapped completely. But this year, they did something new. They have the 17, they have the 17 Pro, they have the Pro Max, and then they have the new lineup. I hope it's a new lineup, which is called the Apple Air. Just hair. There is no hair 1, hair 2, hair 3. We don't know what the plan is for this phone. But let's start with the 17. So the iPhone 17 is iPhone's first phone that is the base phone, that pretty much came with some pro features. So you have like the Pro Motion, which is an adaptive, refresh rate. So and for the layman, this might not be something that you're concerned about, but for some people they care about refresh rate, so you have promotion on the iPhone 17 base model. Another thing Apple has done here is that they've also upgraded the storage. So the previous base models usually start from 128 gig, but now they've started making everything, from 256 gig upward, which I think is great because how Apple is, you don't have external storage. You don't have, most of these new phones these days take away that option for you to be able to get, external storage. Another thing they've done that I think is cool with this phone is, of course, they've increased the screen size. The last iPhone 16 was around 6.1 inches. Now it's around 6.3 inches. It's a bigger screen and the more tinier bezels, if that is important to you. But one beautiful thing I like about this phone is the camera, specifically the front camera. Last year when they were doing iPhone 16 and they were doing, even when they brought iPhone 15, they were more focused on the software and Apple AI and this and that. But I think for this year, Apple was more focused about the outside, the hardware as opposed to the software. And I say this because, the camera now has something that is called center stage, which the MacBook used to have. But for the phone, it changes everything when it comes to selfies and taking photographs, videos, using your front camera. Now, usually, if you're going to take a selfie with your phone, you kind of want to hold it like this, and this is how you take photos, or pictures with your phone. And if you want to get more people in the scene, then you'll have to then, turn it this way so you can get people, fill up in the entire screen size or screen. But with the new center stage, with the new front camera, which is around a 28 megapixel, and they changed it from it being a rectangular camera to a square camera. Now you are able to take even a landscape, portrait, or a landscape photo with your front camera by just holding your hands like this. You don't have to, tilt it this way to accommodate more people. So if you have, say, I'm taking a picture of myself now, and then someone else comes into the scene, and someone else comes again to the scene, when I become 30% as opposed to 2%, the center stage sensor has a way of knowing that there are more than one people or more than two people in the scene, and it automatically changes from portrait, to landscape, which can fit in more people, and which is something I think is amazing for those memory times when you take pictures. I like that they have that across all of the different variations. iPhone 17 hair. I have a problem with this phone. Here's why my problem is. First of all, we all know Apple has issues with battery life, and it's a bit hard, but it's not hard to fit in good batteries in a slim phone. There are phones like Gioni that have silicon carbon batteries that can last you a long time. But for some reason, Apple didn't put that kind of battery in the hair version of the iPhone 17. And I like the fact that it's very slim. That design-wise, that phone is incredibly beautiful. And I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, bro. That phone fine, like very slim, and the camera bar, obviously the back is not like one of the iPhone 17 or even the 17 Pro. It's a bit smaller camera bar. Yes, one camera, but you have multiple sensors in that camera. So you obviously are gonna have to forego, what's it called now, the telephoto, but you get the wide angle and the rest. But you see how slim it is. The concern is phones that are that slim most times are not entirely durable. They could break easily and they could bend easily. I see how that can be a worry for people who are going to purchase that phone, but I also see how people would buy this phone and not really think about it because it looks very, very luxurious compared to the other ones that are on the line. But this phone is strictly eSIM global, so you cannot put in SIM card. And Apple has said they made it that way because it's so tiny that they don't think they can create a space. They could create a space to put a SIM card in there. So it's completely easy. Now, I don't know how that will work in Nigerian market. I don't know if that would work well with the Nigerian audience that like to have more than one SIM and multiple SIMs. But I think for me, that's a bummer from this part of the world. I'm sure people out there, they don't even care. They already used to use SIMs and stuff like that. But for people living here in Lagos, Nigeria, or Nigeria in general, I don't know if that is something they would appreciate. And also because now this is the phone that has certain list of the of the internal features. So you don't get things like the thermal cooling, the chances that it get overheated. Now Apple had changed the materials of their phone from what's it called now, from titanium to aluminium, and that they have said that aluminium is something that would be able to contain how the phone gets hot, so it doesn't overheat. But they left the titanium for the iPhone 17 here. So you have titanium steel, you have smaller battery, you have just one camera, but it's more expensive. So it's around $999 USD, which is around $1,000. But you do not get basically what you would get even for the 17 base model, which I don't know. I think is a hard sell, but I think this is also an experiment for Apple. I think they're trying to see how this plays out because they know what they're doing, obviously. So they're trying to see if this is going to be accepted, and if not, maybe they will just change their approach and just scratch it out like they scratched out the iPhone minis and as well as the iPhone Plus. But let's go then to the Apple Pro version, the 17 Pro, which obviously is our favorite. Now, again, like every other iPhone out there, there are more features, obviously. You have your camera bar, you have 3 cameras, but the beauty is they've now updated all of the cameras to 48 megapixels. The previous version didn't have that. You just have the variation of 48 megapixels, 50 pixels, but they've made all of the cameras now 48 megapixels. They did, however, reduce the zoom, but what you get is you get less zoom, but better quality. I don't know if that makes sense. So I think it's nice that they've made everything 40 megapixel. I mean, if you're using iPhone 16, iPhone 15 Pro, you will see that sometimes when you're taking pictures with your wide angle, it's not as clear as when you're taking pictures with your normal angle, or your telephoto. So that's, I think, making everything the same megapixel fixes that problem. So you don't have to worry about whatever lens you're on, you're going to get the same quality of image nonetheless, at least in theory. I don't know about in practical. In theory, you should get the same image quality. Of course, they've done the same thing. Obviously, they changed the body type. They're now using what they call the unibody system, where the entire fin of the entire body is made of one chassis and it's just aluminium. But they've done something again. Now, it's a bit hard to pass wireless charging with aluminium. So what Apple has done is they've left a small side in the back of the phone that still looks like glass, so that way you can still do your wireless charging, through that particular part as opposed to the aluminium part, which again I think is beautiful. Design-wise, there are things now like your Apple, what's it called now, Gen Lock for those who are into videography. There's also things like your Apple Pro. So they had the Pro Res, but now they have the Apple Pro Raw, which again, if you're into phone videography or phone photography, you would appreciate that. Apple had said that they shot the entire Apple, like on a keynote now, the entire Apple event thing, on iPhone 17, which if you did watch the event like I did, the thing looked really, really clear. You wouldn't even know it was an iPhone 17. They didn't tell you it was an iPhone 17, It looked really clear. So we expect that the camera, obviously, from this iPhone 17 would be incredibly sharp and crispy and detailed as well. And then you have the same thing, obviously, for the iPhone 17, for the iPhone 17 Pro, Pro Max, to say. Obviously, the same thing that happens. You get bigger screen, bigger battery, but they all are running the same chip, essentially, except from the iPhone 17. It's still on the same chip for -1 core. But every other thing is running the same A19 Pro, which means that things will be faster now. You have less lag. You'll be able to handle more intense gaming, even though I don't know if they use an iPhone, but if you do, okay, you have that option now. And yeah, pretty much that is what I have to say about the phone. Now, do I think the phone is revolutionary? I think, know how Apple does that thing now when they bring out digital product and they will be like, this is the best phone yet. This is the best this yet. This is this yet. I think it's just blabbing. I think it's just marketing. It's the same thing on every other iPhone. I'm sure that once this phone come out, say by next week, you're going to see a lot of complaints. Obviously, people are going to do in-depth review of these phones and tell you, oh, the camera is not as good as they said it was going to be, But overall, I am happy that they made certain changes. I'm happy that design wise, it's nice, even though it looks like they are copying Google Pixel with their camera bar thingy. Apple calls it the plateau. Google Pixel has a name for it. Again, it's Apple. They always find a way to make things look like it's theirs, just the way they said Apple Intelligence as opposed to AI. But we're still waiting for Apple Intelligence. It's been 2 years and it's not out completely. So yeah, so if you want to get an iPhone 17, and you don't have so much money, I'll tell you just go for the base model. But if you have a lot of money, just go for the Pro. I don't think the Air is a good buy. But hey, if you like that slim form factor, then maybe you should go for the Apple 17 Air. Pretty much that's what I think about the new iPhone. And let me know what you think in the comment section. And see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.